Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2019 Candidate Forum for Candidates for City Council. My name is Theron Pickens, and I am the owner of a company called P2 Ops. We make mighty cases, protective carrier for your TV. I'm also the past board chair of the York County Regional Chamber and appreciate the opportunity to be your moderator tonight. We appreciate the TK hosting this forum and the earlier meet and greet that we just had. And also the York County Regional Chamber of Commerce is delighted to be serving the TK in the area and also happy to sponsor this forum tonight. We have with us here tonight from the York County Regional Chamber, Mr. Mark Pursley and Mr. Rob Youngblood. Also welcome to Mayor David O'Neill and City Council members that are not currently up for re-election, as well as Mayor Pro Tem Heather Overman and Council Member Alicia Dosh. Did I get that right, Dosh? Dash. I am so sorry. Dash. The plan tonight is to hear from the 5 candidates aiming to fill the city council seats. And this race includes 5 candidates running for 2 at-large seats, and this will be determined on Election Day, which of course is November the 5th. As moderator, my job today is to continually maintain order and keep up with the rotation of the candidates' response and panelist questions. Speaking of, I'd like to now introduce the panelists posing the questions. Mr. Jason Collette, he's the founder and president of Adaptivity Development and a member of the regional board, as well as the owner of Rock Hill Brewing Company. Jason? Free beer, yeah. Free beer. And of course, Miss April Simpkins, president of HRS&S Consulting, LLC, and she is also a regional board member. Thank you, April. The source of the questions the panelists will be asking candidates are from local citizens and the Chamber's Area Council Board, and questions have remained secure and are not known by the candidates. Here are the rules for tonight's forum. After 60-second opening statements, there will be 8 questions posed by the panelists to the council's candidates, with a response time limit of 60 seconds. The same questions will be directed to all candidates, and each will have the opportunity to answer a question first. The order of determination will be the same, alphabetically, by last name, with the order rotated throughout. Candidates will be notified of response statements, and time remaining by display of a yellow card with 15 seconds remaining and a red card when time expires. You really don't want to see the red card. Candidates will not be allowed to continue answering any questions after time has expired. In delivering opening, closing statements, and answering questions, candidates are encouraged to focus on issues. Candidates will not be allowed to use electronic devices, including cell phones, tablets, laptops, etc., during this forum. Questions will not be taken from the audience, and the audience members are expected to remain respectful of each candidate and their responses. Please refrain from applause or any outward reactions to the questions or any of the candidates' responses. And now please give them all our 5 candidates a round of applause, and let's get started. All right, first opening statements, again, of which are limited to 60 seconds, will be provided by the candidates. What? Krasinski. Right?
Krasinski.
Krasinski.
Just like John Krasinski from the TV series Office.
Very good, yeah.
And no, he is not related to me.
I got a visual now. Very good, thank you, Walt.
You want me to start?
I want you to start.
Okay. My name is Walt Krasinski. I moved here in 2013 with my beautiful wife. No, 2006, for 13 years. I always make that mistake. But anyhow, I moved from Cleveland, Ohio, and I fell in love with this spot. My son had moved here, and we came down to visit him, and we fell in love with the place. So we decided to move down here. So 13 happy years later, really, really happy. I have 2 sons. I have five grandchildren, and that's about it.
Very good, very good. Tammy, I'm not going to butcher your last name because I have butchered everyone else's name tonight. Please pronounce your name.
Latcher.
Latcher. That's a good guess, but I was gonna.
All right. My name's Tammy Latcher, and I have lived in TGK for 14 years. I have 5 children, 3 stepchildren, and I have 2 daughters. I have 10 years experience in finance and mortgage experience and 7 years of analytics. I want to bring a fresh, organized, creative, personal feel back to council. I have called TGK home, and having lived here, I have felt it was time to bring my time, expertise, and experience to the council. I'm in favor for growth, but I want to be transparent. If the city taxes and revenue, if the people are against tax increases, growth must happen. Not a lot, but just enough to satisfy the special economic equation. I support parks, recreation, green spaces, and all the residents of TK feeling like they can come together as a community. That's important to me. I have so many friends and family that have supported me through all this. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Gus Matunick.
Try that last name.
I was waiting for that. If you didn't get these, I figured this one's going to be a tough one, too. And you got a trick coming up next door to me if you don't know him already. Good evening, everybody. My name is Gus Machunas. I am a 22-year resident of TGK. For 18 years, I lived over here on the peninsula. A little over 3 years ago, my wife and I built a house in Serenity Point off of Stonecrest on what we now call the east side. I came to this area for a job in Charlotte. I moved to TGK for the schools and the lake. Good choice. Because of the schools here, my daughter graduated with honors from Clemson Nursing School. She's a children's oncology nurse at Levine Children's Hospital. My son graduated from Carolina. It's Clemson and Carolina. We got both of those. He has graduated with a criminal justice degree. He's working for a staffing firm now with his honor job as a U.S. Marshal. Still have a 12-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 15-year-old at home. So obviously what goes on in our school system is very important to me. We're avid lake goers and boaters, so protecting our recreational and the water use is very important to me.
Thank you, Gus. Mr. Ryan Richards.
Good try. Richard. It's Richard. But anyway, thanks, Darren. Rob. Well, thanks, Darren, for butchering my name worse than anyone else's. I get it. It's the French twang thing. It's okay. It's okay.
Thanks,
We get
Ryan.
it. But thanks for moderating. Rob and Mark, thanks for doing what you guys do to put this thing on every 2 years. It's really good for the citizens to hear from the candidates. TGK, #1 safest city, #1 best place to live in South Carolina, #12 best place to live in America, and #1 best place to raise a family in the Charlotte metro area. Accomplishments like these don't come without a sound, focused, determined group of council members, mayor, and city staff. In 2015, when I ran for city council, growth, or stopping it, and transparency were the pillars of Dave and I's campaigns together. I'm proud to say that we've never voted yes on any single family residential project of new construction. Previously approved projects have slowed drastically. Transparency, you, the citizens, now have numerous options to get the info you seek. Chats with Charlie once a month. Facebook, when I ran in 2015, you had less than 2,000 followers. Now that number is almost 9,000. 4,000 participants in our Code Red program. I heard you loud and clear, TUK. With continued support of our mayor, staff, and fellow
All right,
council
thanks,
members,
Ryan.
we'll continue to work for you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Well, I started with the butchering of the name, so
You
I had a
did.
15-second.
You had a little over. I'm going to put my glasses on from here on out to read these. Carmen Wells.
That's correct. You did a good job. Okay, thank you, Theron, Jason, April, and thank you for everybody for coming out tonight. I'm Carmen Wells, and I'm a child of 2 retired military service members. One of my daughters is in the Civil Air Patrol, and the other is a budding artist. Both of my twin daughters attend Gold Hill Middle School and are in the 7th grade. I've worked in EMS in Virginia and TGK before I started my family. I've worked in the labs of Atrium Health and Piedmont Medical Center. I attended USC Lancaster, where I completed 2 years of nursing school before I left to take care of my child's father when he was diagnosed with leukemia in 2014. Volunteering is one of my passions, with 5 years of leading Girl Scout troop and coaching 3 seasons of Girls on the Run, not to mention the countless individual projects that I've helped with. I was a store operations manager and assistant manager of 3 different companies. My current position as directing traffic part-time at TGK Elementary, so myself and my fiance Dale can continue to care for the father of my children while he recovers from a relapse with leukemia and various medical issues. My fiance is a Marine veteran, so he's tough.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
I
We're going
agree
to
with that
begin
last
with our
statement.
first question. And we're going to lead that off with Mr. Collette. Jason, will you begin with the first question of the evening?
Mike first. There we go. What do you see as the biggest challenges or needs facing the city over the next 4 years, and how should this be addressed?
And this question is going to go to Ms. Wells first.
I have to push my button. The biggest challenges I see is connecting the community together. We have new annexed areas of TGK, and we have the original TGK, and there's a lot of people that are in the new area that don't feel like they're connected with the full-on TGK, and we need to connect everybody together. We need to host not only events on this side, but host events on that side. We need to work on our parks and recs so that we can have families come together that are on all areas of TGK to communicate together. We need to walk door to door, find out who your neighbors are, maybe have a neighborhood gathering. I think that's one of our biggest things is feeling the community connected together.
Thank you. And goes also to Ms. Latcher. Same question. No, excuse me, Walt. I'm reading this wrong. Mr. Krasinski.
Can you repeat the question, please?
What do you see as the biggest challenges or needs facing the city over the next 4 years, and how should these be addressed?
Finances. We have a brand new fire station. We have a brand new police station. We've used all our reserves to back up these loans that we have, and we have to get more money in reserves.
And same question goes again to Ms. Latcher.
Thank you. I think mine would be also finances. You're right, we've got quite a few on the books that we need to take care of, and nobody wants growth. That's one thing they do not want. And we have a few neighborhoods that are building now, and things seem to change with the process of those. So I just want to make sure, and the city and all our residents get the type of growth that we need that blends in with our community and what our community is all about.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Machunas.
All right. As Ryan stated, current council has voted down every residential housing project placed in front of us over the last few years. So that's a given, but because of that, we did take about a $500,000 hit in permit income to the city, so we need to find a way to replace that. One way to replace that would be managed commercial growth. There's several areas that are either undeveloped or underdeveloped on the east side of town that are available. Some are slated for development, and we do have some mixed use coming in there as well. The second thing to me that would be critical for us to get done is we've been talking about Catawba Park for years now. We've got $1 million in the bank towards it, but we've got some fundraisers out there trying to get commercial sponsorship, and I think it's critical to get that started over the next few years and get something built there.
Thank you. Mr. Richard.
Good job. You nailed it. It's always hard to go fifth, last, you know, guys. There's a lot of great answers up here. Everybody up on the stage loves and believes in TDK. But what my focus obviously is to manage that growth, like Gus mentioned, both commercial and residential. The value of a mill in Fort Mill or in TDK has been 89 mills since 2010. And that goes to show the value that you bring to the city, the value of the homes that you live in, the value of the community that we're a part of. So continue to manage that and keep that small town feel that keeps TDK what it is.
Very good, thank you. April, you've got question number 2.
Thank you, Theron. Do you agree with the current City Council's philosophy of no additional residential growth and no new residential annexations? Please explain your answer.
And we'll begin again with Mr. Richard for this question. It'll continue around to Ms. Wells, and I'll bring you up.
All right, thanks, Miss April. Obviously, I do. I'm currently on city council. It was a direct result of a different type of theology or philosophy of previous councils. The city as a whole, does it need to make money? Yes. Does it need to raise taxes in order to do that? If you're building new homes, then obviously you don't. But it went from a little bit to a lot very, very quickly. And I think you, as the citizens, also, your frustrations went from a little to a lot very, very quickly as these residential neighborhoods started popping up everywhere. Is it good for the city financially? Sure. That tax income is coming into the city. Is it good for us as citizens and wanting to keep that small town feel and who we are and continue to have TDK, the recreational community that we are? Then no. You know, I've never voted once for a residential neighborhood or single-family residence to come into the city since I was elected in 2015, and as it currently stands, I don't plan on it.
Ms. Wells, same question.
I do agree with no more residential growth. We did grow tremendously fast in what I consider a very short period of time. We need to let our infrastructure catch up. Our schools are overtaxed. Our roadways are overtaxed. I can see it every morning and every afternoon, mornings mostly, and I'm sure all of y'all have been out there on those roads directing traffic in front of the elementary school. It's unbelievable the number of traffic that flows through here. We need to let the roadways catch up with it. We have other ways that we can work on getting the city money, and new homes is not the way to do it. Not right now, not with the traffic and the school systems the way we have it now.
Mr. Krasinski, the same question, sir.
We have gone from a small city, and it's getting too large as far as growth with new homes and everything. I would like to see more homes that are built for the senior citizens, that are just walk in with no stairs. We do have to think about the future of all the young people that are living in TDK right now and what they're going to be moving into in the near future.
Very good. Ms. Latcher.
Whew, I'm twisted on this one. If we get commercial, we get more traffic. People are coming in every day to the businesses. It's not just somebody leaving for work and coming back. In order to get commercial, we need residential because most commercial won't come in unless there's a special economic equation. I mean, for us to vote for council, we got to make this tough decision for you guys. Do you want taxes to go up, or do we need the right kind of commercial coming in, like multi-use, multi-commercial use units where you have a business at the bottom and residential at the top so that it blends in more with our community? But to be honest with you, commercial, if that happens, that's more traffic. Residential, are we going to grow more? That all depends on what you, the people, want. Do you want your taxes to go up, or do we want tax revenue to come in? And what type of tax revenue do we want to come in?
Mr. McGinnis.
Good question, April. Thank you. I'm going to agree with Ryan as somebody serving on council right now. Yes, I think we need to continue doing that. Let's keep in mind that the people spoke, the citizens elected the council when Ryan was elected and also when I was elected based on no more residential growth. I know that the city was in financial trouble years ago. I understand that we needed to grow, I understand that we needed tax dollars, but we may have overcooked that one a little bit. There's still 2 neighborhoods that are approved from back in 16 that are to be built. We, as a council, passed impact fees to help growth pay for growth. So we are collecting impact fees on every new home that's being built now. Would I continue to say no to residential? Absolutely, I would. I'm still going to say the city's 90% residential. In order to raise our tax base, we need to find managed commercial growth in the areas that can take it.
The next question, number 3, will be presented by Mr. Collette. And Mr. McInnes, you will begin that series of answering, and it'll continue around.
All right, this is a bit long, so here we go. The Chamber believes that the commercial and industrial tax base provided by local businesses helps offset property taxes for residents and provides much of the revenue to operate our public schools. What are your specific ideas for how to provide an adequate and diverse commercial tax base in the city?
I think mainly the first thing we need to do is we have some very bright minds on our Economic Development Commission that are trying to attract the right businesses and the right growth to the areas of town that once again are set up to take it. The peninsula is built out. It's all residential. There's really very little area for commercial development. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen on the east side of town. There's one large development that's approved that we need to follow through on and make sure that he does build it the way he's supposed to build it. We have enough rooftops. If you look around the area, you'll see that there's a lot of shops and restaurants and things being built, and we can have them built here in TKK, so we don't have to go outside of TKK. Very attractive HTAX revenue for any restaurant or anybody that's serving food or beverages. I'd like to see that continue.
Very good. Ryan?
Yeah, agreed. I think the proof's in the pudding. You guys see Stonecrest, what it's turned into over the last 5 to 6 years. Commercial wants to be a part of TKK. It's on us as council to go out and find the right fit. Our city manager and city staff get calls regularly from people looking at a potential opportunity to be a part of this city and this great community. Because all those accolades that I mentioned earlier, it's not just the citizens of TKK that know that. Anyone that reads all these magazines or articles that come out talking about TKK's #1 in this, #2 in that, the best place to raise your children in the metro area, business owners want to be a part of that as well because they know what they're surrounded with. And so specifically, I think it's a continuation of what some of city staff is doing now to allow those parcels, knowing the availability that we have and the potential types of businesses that help contribute to that tax base like you were asking, Jason.
Carmen?
Could you repeat the question one more time?
All right, the Chamber believes that the commercial and industrial tax base provided by local businesses helps offset property taxes for residents and provides much of the revenue to operate our public schools. What are your specific ideas for how to provide an adequate and diverse commercial tax base in the city?
Thank you. I actually do believe we need more commercial in the city, and we need to find what's the best fit for the city. If you put somebody in a specific spot, they want to come in, but we're not attending their business, they're going to be shut down, and that is going to lose the city money. We need to find out what the residents want to have put in and seek those out so that they can flourish. If they flourish, then the city flourishes. We don't need any more storage units. We don't need any more nail salons. Family restaurants would be nice. A brewery, not just ones that are in Fort Mill. I know they're close, but we need a brewery in TKK or maybe even a wine bar. Baxter's done really good with the wine bar. There's a bunch of different areas that we can look into, and it's definitely something that council needs to look into, but not just on their own. They need to get input from the citizens. Everybody is involved in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Walt? Same question.
The biggest problem we have is space. And to get new businesses in here and to have them set up, to have some space to have parking and everything else, we're running out of space. So to have businesses help take care of our tax base is going to be very difficult. So we can try to get as good as business to come in as we can, And let's hope that it will help the city.
Thank you. Tammy?
Thank you. We have a lot of residents out there that have businesses out of their homes or drive into Charlotte on a daily basis that would want an opportunity to have a location here. To get big companies in here, we need a number of households, and we don't fit their criteria. So I think the best way to deal with this is building relationships with developers for shopping centers, so these locals have places to go that are locally and close by to bring in the tax revenue, with multi-units that have apartments at the top and commercial business at the bottom. And I'm for that wine bar and brewery, by the way.
Thank you. This next question is going to be presented by Ms. April Simpkins, and Tammy, you will lead off with the answers.
Is the city's current tax millage and fee structure sufficient to provide key services for citizens? And what are your ideas on the best way to approach the city's long-term financial health?
Yeah, I've been struggling with that one. I've been going over the budget quite a bit, and I trended it. I'm a little bit of a Excel geek. But when I look at the budget and the taxes and, trying not to raise it, we got to be creative, and it all connects to that commercial and development and how are we going to keep expenses down and what can we do, and we got all this debt on top of us now. We got to be creative and put the money where it needs to be and be a little more transparent so I can look at the budget a little bit more and try to see where things connect a little bit. Because I'm trying to figure it all out with the expenses and where we could cut and where we can't. So hopefully if I get voted into council, that would be the first thing I'd want to do is look all those expenses and see what I can do to try to keep that tax rate where it's at.
Gus, same question.
Well, we're kind of beating a dead horse here about commercial, but you have to keep in mind that residential development, it costs more to provide services to a residence than it generates in tax income. The impact fees help with infrastructure, and it's great that we pass those, but still, that's why we had to have a new police station. That's why we had to have a new fire station. With these come debt. With these come debt payments. We do have some debt that will be slowly rolling off, and as that does come off, we may have some more money available. But in the meantime, I'm going to go back to what I said before. It's commercial development. There are enough rooftops in the area to support some businesses. We have land that is either in the city that's available, or we have land that's available for annexation. If the right group of businesses is approached, we can annex and they can build, and we'll have that tax base.
Thank you. Ryan?
As it previously sits from previous administrations or previous councils, we have over 500 single-family residential units that are yet to be built inside the city limits of TGK. With the great win for this current council, and kudos to Dave and Alicia and Heather for jumping on board with that. With the passing of those impact fees and the additional anywhere from $2,000 up to more than $6,000 per household that those developers have to pay, that increased tax revenue from those 500 plus units that are currently going to be built as it sets, in addition with continue to look at the commercial sectors of those developments that are now approved and continuing to grow that tax base as well. But I don't think it's a matter of we need more residential to continue to be financially stable. I think with what is coming down the pipe and where we sit currently, we're doing just fine.
Thank you. Carmen, please.
Is our tax millage adequate? Yeah, I'd say it's adequate. I'd say it's actually overly adequate. We have one of the highest in the area. TKK residents, you pay a lot of money to live here. Long-term financial health, we can adjust the budget. There's things that are being spent that could be adjusted in a different way. And there's certain items the police department needs that we have to account for every single year. Their cars are going to go down. They're going to have to. The fire department has certain requirements that they need every single year. We have to adjust for that. To maintain the safest city, we have to make sure that we have those. But there's other areas that we can save money on. We can move money around. so that we're not losing money. And I think the council has done a really good job in getting, that's in office now, has done a really good job so far with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Walt, that same question, sir.
Yeah, it's finding money to help the community, to help TKK. It's hard. We have tapped out most everything that we have. The impact fees are going to be good for right now, going to be building new homes, new businesses. But eventually, we're going to run out of space, and there will be no more impact fees. That's where it's going to stop. So other ideas have to come about.
Very good. Thank you. Jason, you'll have the next question, and Walt, you will begin this question answer.
Parks, trails, and recreation programs are important to TKK's citizens' quality of life. Many such projects have been discussed by council in recent years. Which prospective or planned recreational facility or areas do you believe hold the greatest promise and are the most timely in serving the recreational needs of the TKK residents?
Well, we're going to have Catawba Park coming in. That's going to be one big help for everybody, all the citizens, for all sports and all recreation. We have trails that some people don't even know about. There's a trail that I go through when I was walking that I would say I've maybe seen 10 people on. The morning people, or even afternoon people, use the walkway for running, walking, everything. Those are that's a great asset. We can put the golf carts and everything on there. So that's it.
Thank you. Tammy, you're next, please.
Thank you. Parks and recreational trails. 65% of our recreational program is outside of TKK, and we're busting at the seams. We have no place for them to play. So Catawba Park is definitely a focus. We also have 20 acres going in Windhaven that we could possibly use. So that we definitely want. Green space is important. If you look in Google Maps, we probably have the most trees anybody has, you know, and if we can take those trails and use them effectively to find routes to school, routes to businesses, so that way golf carts can go through those areas instead of on the roads. You know, we need to get creative because this traffic and the way things are going and our kids to play in fields, we need those and we need them funded, but we got to be creative on funding them.
Gus.
Well, as you come into the peninsula, there's a big sign there that says, "The Recreational Community of Lake Wylie," and I always stress the "the." Right when you go past that sign, you'll see All Play Together, an all-inclusive playground that we partnered up with the All Play Together Foundation to get built. It's going to be the first playground of its type in York County. Very excited about that. That's already done and funded and under construction, and we'll be hopefully ribbon cutting in late November, early December. Catawba Park is huge. It's 80 acres over there waiting to be developed. It's been talked about for a long time now. There's some great people trying to get the money raised to help build it right now. 4 ball fields for the kids to play. Tammy's right. Our Parks and Rec is overrun. Joey just gave us the breakdown on it the other day, the number of children that are there. So Catawba Park is huge, getting it done. We've already made the improvements to the existing parks this year. So next up is All Play in Catawba Park.
Thank you. Ryan.
All right, perfect. TKK served approximately 4,000 participants in its rec program in 2019. It's a big part of who we are as a city, as Gus mentioned, a recreational community. Current council spent upwards of $100,000 in maintenance and improving our current facilities. And how do we get better? Catawba Park, we can't afford not to build it. We spend upwards of $10,000 each year to the school board to help use some of those fields. So do we have $10 million in the bank to build Catawba Park now? No. Is TKK Forever working in that direction, which is our city nonprofit, to help raise funds to build this park? Yes, that's what they're doing. So we're taking steps in the right direction to ensure we get the funding in place that allows us to build a park that can contribute according to estimates, up to $160,000 increase each weekend just for H-tax collection. So, as I mentioned, we can't afford not to build it.
Thank you. Carmen?
I do agree. Catawba Park is definitely something that the city needs. It's going to bring in so much, but with that, it's also going to bring in traffic. You have a 2-lane road that's over there. You're going to have a lot of people that I see not only parked in there, but is also going to be parked out on the roadways. I mean, y'all seen Rundy. I mean, I know it's not nothing compared to Rundy, but we also need to, while we're getting the funding built up for that, we also need to look at our current fields. We have fields that when it rains, the water puddles tremendously and the kids can't play on it. We need to figure out another way, maybe do a teen center we can also put in an area that we can have outside basketball courts for the kids. These teens in our city need something to do, something especially that they can do on their own, and we can give it to them. Thank you.
Very good. The question number 6 is going to be led by April Simpkins, and Carmen, you will have the first response.
What are the top 3 largest cost expense items currently in the city budget? Are these the correct items, and are they in the proper order or of priority? If not the correct items or order of priorities, what should that be?
Well, honestly, our first responders get a huge chunk, and I think that's good. They should. The police officers have things that they're trying to bring in for training. They have the fire department. They're good on their vehicles that they have, but their training they also need. Sometimes with our first responders, we get a call, an ambulance call, and if Piedmont or any of the others are busy, there's nobody to come. There was several instances that actually happened. There was no one to come. So who's going to respond? The fire department. If the fire department has EMS training, then they could potentially save your life. So I think that we need to continue to pay that. Another thing is our maintenance. We have the fields that need to be done. We have all of our fencing and just all the general maintenance of the city. That's another one.
Thank you. Walt, same question, sir.
Could you repeat the question?
Absolutely. What are the top 3 largest cost expense items currently in the city budget? Are these the correct items, and are they in the proper order of priority? If not the correct items or order of priorities, what should that be?
Well, we have a lot of priorities. I think we solved, one of the ones that we solved last year was getting the police station built. That was the #1 priority, and I think everybody in the audience knows that. We have the new fire station and all the training that the firemen and the police go through that we don't get to see on a daily basis, but they go through training every day. They also are patrolling every day. There's a lot that can be done. We just have to find a way to do it.
Very good. Tammy, you're up next, please.
Yes, in the order. The $4 million police station, yes, it was definitely needed. Our other one was just in bad condition. And then we do have the fire department. That's kind of pushed on us because we got to a certain population, so we didn't really have a choice but to get that. So yeah, priorities are kind of pushed onto us and by the expenses. And the police department, we have to add more police when we get more of the population. We need more cars. Those, they're leased, and as they start to renew, we get those extra budgets. There's actually insurance, life insurance, all that starts to increase every year too, so that's another thing. And along with the recreational maintenance, I think the priorities are in check for sure, but we just need to be prepared in the future if we have anything else pop up.
Thank you. Gus?
Public safety is our #1 expense, and in terms of priority, it should be our number one expense. And that covers all the first responders. It's why we built the new police department. It's why we built a new fire station. And you have to keep in mind that we're not just providing first responder services to TKK. The areas outside of TKK, when there's a call, it's our people that go based on priority. So we have to have enough staff, enough people on premises to take care of those needs. We had to put in a new dispatch system in our police department. So public safety is number one. What Brian said, we're the number one safest community in the state, and we have to maintain that, especially as the city gets bigger and bigger. Used to be there was only one way in and one way out of the city, and it went right past the police station. Now there's multiple means of getting into the city.
Thank you. Ryan?
To answer your question, April, I personally, just bigger doesn't necessarily mean better. Just because it's a larger line item on the budget doesn't make it more important than some of the smaller. You know, as a council, we sit down starting in June, May, start going through this with city staff to see where the city wants to be from a budgeting perspective and get ideas. And it's just like anything else when people are going to ask for what they hope to get with the different department heads on what they want to do to take care of their people. And so it's our job as a council to ensure the city's only spending what it absolutely needs to spend based on the needs of those departments, whether it's what that department head is asking for or what's needed. And that biggest expense, obviously, is police and fire. Number one, safest city to live. There's a reason you pay the taxes you do, and complain or not, or smile on your face or angry, most people love where they live, and that's here in TEK.
Thank you. Question number 7 will be presented by Jason. Ryan, you will lead off with the responses.
What do you see as the most important responsibilities as a TKK council member, and how are these responsibilities distinguished from those duties of the mayor or the city manager?
Long question, lots of answers. I don't know if I could fit it all in 60 seconds, but I'll do my best. Most important responsibility is obviously as a council member and the mayor, we're the city manager form of government. So it's our job as a council to lead, direct, and guide, like a board of directors as such, to the city manager, who's basically the CEO of our company. Sorry if I'm talking fast, just trying to get it all in the 60 seconds. So for us, I hate the I, me's, here's what I do. For us, what we've done as a council is successfully lead the city manager in the direction that we prefer he would go into, or we suggested he would go into, to best represent the goals, views, and expectations of current council. And as it stands so far, they've done a really good job.
Carmen?
Most important responsibilities is to the people. You elect us. When we get into office, we work for you. No matter how much the money is, it's not much, it's basically volunteering, but we work for you. I think the council members need to get out there. They need to talk to the residents. They need to find out what their concerns are. They need to meet with the liaisons with each individual community to find out where's the areas that we need to work, the ones that are the most troubling. Unless you get out there and you live in that community, you don't know what's going on. So we need to get out there and talk to everybody. I know it's a lot of door knocking, it's a lot of footwork, it's a lot of legwork, but we work for you. So you need to tell us what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. Walt?
The council has a lot of responsibilities. They have to be responsible for all the citizens of TKK and to put the best foot forward in anything that they do, no matter what it is. It's a big responsibility, and everybody that is running for this office knows that. And the 2 councilmen that are here right now have gone through that for the last 4 years and 2 years. So they know there's a big responsibility that you put on your shoulders when you take this job.
Tammy?
Yes. Ooh, I've been diving into this a lot. I dove into a lot of city structures and how they're built. And one thing that is very successful is committees and building on those committees. And you bring the people in that want to volunteer in different wards and districts, so everybody's opinion is heard. These are going to be committees that are actually ran and appointed and application processes done through a committee and not through council and through city managers. That's always productive that way. That way, when the people's voices are heard, the council hears it all, and then the council can concentrate on budget and working with the city manager on all the small details.
Thank you. Gus?
The 4 council members and the mayor have equal votes to say. As Ryan said, it's our job to listen to the citizens, to give guidance to city manager. City manager runs the staff. If we need information gathered, then they're supposed to gather the information and bring it to us, and we can make informed decisions what we feel like is best for the city, whether it be things regarding the budget, public safety, anything else. I'm really impressed at the various volunteer boards that we have now. In the past, you almost had to beg somebody to serve on the Economic Development Commission, Planning Committee, Board of Zoning, anything else. Now, the choices are brought to us as a council, and, you know, we're having to turn people away. So that gives us greater input for us so we can help guide the city manager and staff to doing what needs to be done to take care of the residents in the city.
Very good, thank you. Gus, you'll also lead off with this next question that April is going to be reading to us.
What entities outside of TGK with which you have regular contact could be used to improve relationships and handle growth related to the city? Such entities could include RFATS, Fort Mill School District, neighboring municipalities, the Chamber of Commerce, and York County government.
Well, I think just over the last few years, at least in my experience, we've done a much better job of working with York County Council and Fort Mills Council. I mean, when you see the things that the residents are bringing to us, frequently they're bringing things to us that we have no control over. It's outside of the borders of TGK. But here lately, we've had some smaller meetings with the Chamber, with York County Council, with Fort Mill Council, School Board, the School Board of Trustees, to help guide and manage some of the growth and things that are going to happen in our area. It used to be, it was almost some years back, especially when this rampant growth was happening, it was almost a fight to see, you know, which entity got to approve the next housing development. And if you look around TGK, there's a lot of large housing developments right outside. Well, there were negotiations back and forth, and it just seemed like a fight. Well, now it's not. And frequently when things are proposed near us, York County will bring it to us and offer it to us first. That never happened before.
Very good. Ryan, same question.
Good answer, Gus. Yeah, for those types of synergies between the chamber, between the county, the city, RFATs, all the others are pretty standard. It's something that I think current council as well as previous have made an effort to ensure that we work together to achieve what's best for the area in general. And so I think it's the continued support from the mayor and council members that are doing what they're doing, not because they need the money. They're doing what they're doing because they love the city. And so that continued support, you know, both Heather and Alicia sit in the audience, spend a lot of time of their personal time doing what they have to do to help support this council and support this city, and same with Gus. And so I think it's the synergies that are standard, as I mentioned, that we continue to really push and utilize those and continue to be better as a city.
Thank you. Carmen?
We do need to have an ongoing relationship with everybody who's around us. We need to have our meetings like they've done and continue to do. With our school board, Fort Mill, RFATS, we need to come together. Having these good standing relationships is what's going to keep the community to be able to talk with each other. That's it.
Thank you. Walt, the same question, sir.
Yeah, some of our biggest things that we work with are the Fort Mill school system. We have some of the best schools in South Carolina, and one of them is right here in our city. The other thing is Pennies for Progress. Without Pennies for Progress, some of these roads that are being developed and being worked on 160 right now going up to North Carolina are going to be a big help. So as long as we can keep on working with York County, the school systems, and everybody, I think we're going to be in a lot better place.
Very good. Tammy?
Yeah, this is really big for me because as I look around TGK and what's outside of us, when I drive to work every day, it's important where Fort Mill puts another apartment complex to me, because, you know, I have another 500 people coming out to go to work every day. So building relationships with them and knowing where their next project is going to be is very important. And thank you, council, for building that relationship up, because it's definitely needed. I have talked to a few people through the York County, and I see where they're at, and we are one. We are one community. Our schools connect. I don't want to say that TEK school is better than one or the other. We're all in the same district. So when somebody gets rerouted to another school, I don't want them to be disappointed. I want us to all be one big community.
Very good. Well, thank you all. This has been the end of our Q&A for the time. We're going to start now with closing statements. So basically, you'll have 60 seconds to provide your closing statements. And Tammy, we will begin with you. And it'll continue around just like we've been going, same order.
I just want to thank all my friends and family in the city of TEK for pushing me to run for council. I never thought I'd be here today, never thought I'd be a people person and diving into budget. But as I start doing that, I realize I'm meant to be in this position. If you guys vote me into council, I will make sure I make the right decision, research things, build relationships, go over budget, make sure the money's being used where it needs to be used. I volunteer on a committee now for Lily Pad Haven, and it is my heart, and it's something that I focus on extremely. So I will make this as a volunteer position that I will focus on and have my passion for the people, and I will listen to the people to see what they want.
Thank you. Gus?
First, I want to thank everybody for coming out. It's great to show this kind of interest in what goes on in our city and our city government. I'm sure there's a lot of people home watching on TV right now, too. You know, over the last nearly 2 years that I've been on council, I think we accomplished a lot. You know, did we hit a home run every single time? No, but I think more often than not we did. We did right by the city. We've accomplished a lot of good things, and there's a lot of good things left to be done. As I mentioned earlier, I still want to really focus on increasing our tax base with commercial growth, maintaining the lack of residential growth, because we have several projects that are approved back in 16 that are still to be built, as Ryan said, about 500 homes. So let them be built. We'll focus on commercial growth. And I can't speak enough about Catawba Park to help maintain, as I will say one more time, the recreational community of Lake Wiley. Thank you. Please come out and vote Tuesday, and I'd love to honor you. Love it if you'd honor me with yours.
Thank you. Ryan?
Thanks, Gus. As an entrepreneur, husband, father of 2 beautiful children, Emily and Caden, I promised I'd say their name on TV tonight. I can attest it takes all type of skills, talents, and abilities in doing what it takes to win. For me, the trick is surrounding yourself with other like-minded individuals that want to achieve greatness. In the last couple of years, your city, TEK, has invested over $100,000 in improvements in our park and rec facilities. We've built a new fire station, along with the purchase of a new fire engine that ensures your insurance premiums stay down. We've built a state-of-the-art police station and will dispatch locally, improving response times and ensuring we stay the #1 safest city. Implemented impact fees, new recycle agreement with the county, brought new business, TEK. All of this without increasing the millage rate, your taxes. I want to continue to listen, learn, and surround myself with you, citizens that care about our city. Vote for me, and let's continue to win together, TEK.
Thank you,
Because
Ryan.
winners win. Thanks.
Carmen?
Well, I'm a researcher. I research everything before I do it. My poor children. I don't make knee-jerk decisions. I have a strong passion to serve and give back to our amazing community. We've grown too fast in the past several years, so I'm for no more residential growth. I can't say that enough. We need to pause on the residential growth to let our infrastructure catch up. We will still have Windhaven and River Falls to come into the city, and that was from a prior council. I want to help bring back that small town feel. I want to plant more trees on an ongoing basis, focus on our parks and recs, green spaces, and connecting our communities with more walking trails and bike paths. We've had Catawba Park in the works for 6 years. With this, we will need to address the roads around the park and our bike lanes and connecting trails for walkers. I may not be able to change the world when I get elected onto city council, but I can make a difference in TEK. I look forward to getting to know more of my neighbors, your concerns. Your elected official should get out there and seek what's most important to you. I'm not afraid to beat the streets and hear your voice. Vote November 5th. Vote Carmen for city council.
Thank you. Walt?
I'd like to thank everybody that came out tonight. Unfortunately, I don't see a lot of young faces. I wish I did, and that's where we have to be. Get new young faces out here to take over some of these spots. And we do have young faces, but they're not as younger than me. I've been coming to I've been coming to city council now for the past 12 years, and I've probably have been to more city council meetings than everybody on this board. Not saying that that's great, yeah. But I want the people to be able to see my face instead of the back of my head. I've been on BOZEV now for the last 7 years. That's the Board of Zoning Appeals. And vote for me. I have 9 signs out there, so if you see one, you're very, very lucky. Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you all. Well, this does conclude our event this evening, and I would like to, again, just appreciate to our candidates and all that you are doing and wish you best of luck. And let's give them one more round of applause. Citizens, thank you for your interest in the candidates this evening and being a part of this business community and the democratic process. I'll remind you again, November 5th, that's when we'll be voting. Absentee voting is also available. And finally, the York County Regional Chamber and the Fort Mill TK Area Council wish to thank the city and everyone who's had a role in putting this event together tonight. Again, I appreciate everyone coming out and appreciate the responses by our candidates. Thank y'all. Good night.